post regatta, and this is really important, is, I mentioned earlier, but you really need to put the club back the way you found it, right? If you've rearranged all the chairs on the desk, or maybe not you, but someone in your event has rearranged all the chairs upstairs, the beautiful new chairs, that you just put it back in some semblance of order the way it came. Same with the great room. We kind of have this squishy policy of visitors, they can bring their boats on, kind of week before, week after, but particularly how tight the lot is, you need to make sure any visitors who either come ahead or staying a few days before they're pulling their boats off their lot have checked in with Kathy that they are not in somebody else's spot and that they're not blocking someone else's spot, or they're not in a parking space that doesn't make sense. So Kathy, do you want to speak to that at all?
Yes, let me add some more, because I think being prepared for some of these invitational regattas, if it's just your event that weekend, you'll want to make sure, if you're having a large number of boats, they're probably going to end up in the aisles blocking other boats. Yeah. So you'll want to make sure you're communicating with fleet captains so they know to communicate with their members that they might not be able to access their boat, or if they want to access the boat, how to make arrangements with you and your fleet so that they can still do their own thing during your event. But at this point, the dry storage on the lot is completely full. So generally the access is in the parking lot, but those of you that have bigger events, between race committee and your participants, there's not enough extra parking for a whole bunch of out-of-town boats to go. So just making it work for everyone, it's going to just take a lot of communication and working together to move boats more than normal.
Right. And I would say too, it's a little bit of an aside, but if you know that there's a big event going on and you've taken your boat off the lot, or you happen to be at an invitational or whatever, your boat is not in your spot, I think it's two things. One, communicating, hey, my spot's open Saturday and Sunday, but guess what? I'm coming back Monday. So, Kathy has an idea of, if there's some boats or trailers or whoever who are staying a couple extra days, she knows kind of where they can be stored maybe for a day or two, and where they can't be. So
yes, I did put in the boat storage agreement for this year that if you're off the lot for more than 3 days, to email the office, because we appreciate that you're letting us know so we can borrow the space for an invitational, but we also want to make sure that it's there when you come back. We don't want someone to arrive in the middle of the night and find that they can't put their boat in its spot. It's already late and you're tired, and the last thing you want to do is show up and not have a place for your boat.
Yep.
The one other thing on that is to do it as early as possible. If your regatta's in June and you're telling your out of town potential guests in February about all of this infrastructure, and informing Kathy that you're coming, that they might be on the lot a week before the regatta or whatever, it avoids Kathy and SSA and our members and your fellow members being blindsided, and it also makes the user experience that much nicer for our guests and your guests, that they know what to expect and they understand that while we welcome them, we want to make sure that it works for everyone. So that's notice, or that's information is good.
I think maybe noting the word should be requesting instead of informing, because it is possible we won't have enough space. And so finding other options for where they can store their boat and trailer are really important, because if we don't have the space, we can't take them.
Right.
This is Lisa Marie again. Can you please maybe put a reminder in the breeze about notifying the office when extended periods of empty slips for members, because that point slipped right by me, and that would be, I'm sure it slipped by other people as well.
Yeah, it's probably a good idea. A couple of reminders here and there about some of these things that we want people to do, for sure. Because to your point, it could be in the fine print, but A, yeah, who's reading it, and B, even if you did read it, are you remembering it? So, and part of why I put this post regatta, we've covered some of this stuff in other areas, but I don't know about you, but sometimes I put in so much planning into a regatta you know, by Sunday afternoon, I am so done. And then you sometimes can let some of these, you know, the important stuff at the end of the regatta slip through. But Barbara?
Back to the breeze and the lot being tight.
Mhm.
You know, maybe the weekly breeze can say what's coming up this weekend. So you know that there's going to be a 40 boat lightning event. And you don't have to say parking's going to be tight. You shouldn't come to the club because we don't want to ever tell our members not to come. But if they know there's going to be a 40 boat event coming up that weekend, everybody will make the decision in their brain about what they're going to do.
Well, and I think too, if the regatta itself is doing a great job of that social media marketing ahead of time and they're tagging SSA, you know, that'll be another way to communicate to members. But I think it's a great idea. And if they're not, SSA, I think could be doing a good job of, maybe a better job of, in their at least social media marketing of, you know, events that are coming up. So it's a good idea, Barbara. All right, I think I'm going to kind of skip through the rest of it because we've talked about it in the marketing section. Oh, no, in the other section, but, you know, making sure that you've followed up with Kathy about, you know, the reporting on your member, non-member, getting your regatta reports to SSA and to your class association, whatever marketing. And then, man, having that well-deserved cocktail at the end. You know, I think running regattas and the invitationals are so much fun. They're a ton of work, but if you get the team involved with people, you know, they're one of the things that make this sport fun. And I think it's something that SSA is particularly good at, and it helps market SSA too. So we really encourage the larger events. We encourage, it's also a great way to get your fleet involved. You know, some of us end up in these leadership positions forever. But if, you know, running a regatta is really a great way to get some of your newer members just to take on a project, right? And get more involved with your fleet. So.